Alright guys, in this video tutorial I have a very nice strategic plan. I need to create a print writer that is holding a file writer so that I can use it to create records into the file, and we need to create the file. So how is that going to be? Let's check it out. Trust me, this is gonna be exciting. Okay, we're gonna create a method public print writer because I want the method to return a print writer. So I'm gonna say create file writer. I'm gonna say string file name. Okay, so what's gonna happen? What is this method gonna do? First of all, I need to import a print writer from java.io, and you can see all this importation is really accumulating up here. So this is the print writer I've just imported, and back to the method. Oh, the error here says okay, the method must return a result type of print writer. Okay, we will return a print writer, so calm down. Okay, so now I'm gonna create a buffered writer. I hope I spelled that correctly. I'm gonna call it BW and I assign it to be equal to null. Now, before I explain about buffered writer, let me import buffered writer from java.io. Okay, I'm gonna go over to the Java documentation. And recall, buffered writer is coming from java.io, so I need to go to the java.io package. So I'm going to click on java.io and I'm going to look for buffered writer. Now, a buffered writer, public class buffered writer, which extends writer, writes text to a character output stream, buffering characters so as to provide for the efficient writing of single characters, arrays, and strings. So what does that mean? You wish to write text, okay, character texts into a stream. The stream could be a file, it could be a network, it could be a database, whatever. Okay, you need a buffered writer to do that. Okay, and this is an example. Print writer out is equals to new print writer, and then you pass in an instance of a buffered writer, which is taking an instance of a new file writer, which is taking an instance of a string as the file name. Wow, these guys, they don't really help things, they just go straight ahead. But that's much of a mouthful. I'm gonna break it down to you. I'm not gonna do what they are doing. I'll declare the buffered writer first, then I'm gonna create the print writer. Okay, and then call the print writer out and assign it to be equal to null for some good reasons. Okay, now I'm gonna create a try catch block. So try, and I expect some IO exception, so let me just catch it immediately. I'm gonna catch IO exception. Oops, IO capital O, need to spell that right. IO exception. I'm gonna call it XCP. Okay, and I need to import IO exception from java.io, and then I want to throw IO exception because I don't want to handle the exception in this method. All right, so and don't worry, I'll make it reachable. So I'm gonna create a file. I say file is equals to new file. Okay, now this is a file object. It's an instance of a file. I'll have to import file from java.io. Do I? Of course I have to. So I click over here and import file from java.io. Then we need to specify a file name, and recall my good plan was that you have to pass in a file name to this method, and we use that file name to create a file. That's what's going to happen. So I grab the method's argument and pass it to the file argument of the file constructor. Okay, so now I need to know if the file exists before I create it. So I'm going to say if file I want to know if the file doesn't exist, because I want to create a file that does not exist, not a file that already exists. Okay, so I say if file does not exist. You can say if file exists not. I think that's better. Okay, so if file exists not, file dot create file, create new file here. So now the file dot exists method checks if a file based on this file name already exists. Okay, and if it doesn't, the condition I'm stating here is that if it does not exist, then create a new file. If that works, then I'm gonna create a file writer, if w to be equal to new file writer. Then I'm gonna pass in the file as the argument of the file writer. Okay, just like we were seeing in the documentation, but this time I'm breaking it down for you so that you can really understand. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna create instantiate the buffered writer by saying bw is equals to buffered writer. I highly recommend you go to the API documentation to get details about what I'm saying now, because I'm not gonna go there any longer. I believe you should understand what I'm doing now. So I'm gonna instantiate the print writer by saying out is equals to new print writer. This is just a procedure of creating a print writer that will be used to spitting out information to a file. I pass in the buffered writer as the argument to the print writer's constructor. Recall this BW is the buffered writer's object. Very easy to follow, huh? Okay, so the next thing we just need to do is to return the print writer. So I say return out. Okay, I still have an error here. It says unhandle exception, I exception. Let's just add throws clause to it, and I throw I exception, and the method is done. Pretty easy, huh? See you on the next tutorial.